Hey everybody, this is Carrie here. I am a certified health coach with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and also someone who suffers with rheumatoid arthritis. I wanted to talk today about 9 food kind of groups that I have tried to reduce or eliminate in my own life to help reduce or eliminate chronic pain. Now, full disclosure, I am on a injectable medication at this point, but my goal and my doctor's goal is to either reduce or eliminate my need for that. Now, there are some things that I will be on because of the nature of my condition, probably for the rest of my life, but there are things that I can do in my lifestyle that will help reduce the rate at which my disease progresses and also helps my quality of life. So let's get started. The first and honestly the most important one for me are added sugars. Now these are not natural sugars that are found in fruit, but I do find that I can't go over the top with fruit. Like I can usually have a couple of pieces a day and that's about my limit. And for me, I have to stay away from fruit juice or juicing because it removes the fiber, and the fiber is what I need to kind of reduce the amount or the load of sugar in my own body. And then of course anything like in coffee creamers or, surprisingly even in condiments, there is a crazy amount even in what I would call savory food. So it's really important to learn how to read labels, and thankfully in the last couple of years they've gotten a little better. It could be still better, and I think we'll be working on that probably in the next few years. But they've actually started to add added sugars to the nutrition facts labels on a lot of foods. And then definitely, anything processed, especially and particularly processed meats. So anything with a lot of sodium, nitrites, nitrates, MSG, that sort of thing. So think of like Italian processed meats, so salami, pepperoni, and even like some bacon has like nitrites and nitrates in there. So that would be something that you'd want to avoid. And then also I have to avoid red meat. That's mainly due to my rheumatoid arthritis. So if that's not something you suffer with, that may not be necessarily something you have to do. My advice on that is if you're unsure, take it out for a week and see how you feel. Gluten is a big one. It's interesting. I have found that if it's more gluten in processed foods than it is gluten in homemade foods. I'm not real sure why that is. I just know that is something that is definitely a no for me. And it's interesting. Again, it's another one of those like added sugars that is in a ton of stuff. And so you really have to learn, you go to like the Celiac Foundation or even, just Google common gluten containing foods and you'd be surprised what's on that list. Number 4 I've already touched on, which is highly processed foods. Honestly, if it comes in, you're looking at like chips, crackers, Jell-O, even some like canned fruits have a lot of processing in them, and they add sodium, and that sodium can decrease the amount of hydration in your body, which increases the amount of inflammation in your body. Vegetable oils, a lot of them contain, now I'm not talking about avocado oils, I'm talking about your canola oils, your Criscos, those sorts of things that have a high level of pro-inflammatory omega-6s, whereas a good cold-pressed olive oil, like my friends over at Casandrino's olive oil, they have a really good one. It comes straight from Greece. It's all hand-batched and small-batched, and it's amazing. It has a ton of amazing omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory as well. So you'll want to stay away from kind of your typical ones. Now, that is more difficult when you go out to eat, so there's not much you can do about that. What you could do is a lot of people will tend to eat salads, and so they think, well, that's a healthier choice, but usually the dressings will have canola oil in them. So if that's what you're going to do, if you're trying to avoid it in that way, you could always pack a little. They make these really cute little mason jars. In fact, I should have brought one with me, but they make these really tiny little mason jars with lids that are great for just throwing those in your purse, and they're tight enough that they won't come out in your purse. But if you're worried about it, put a Ziploc around it. But that's a good way to, if you're concerned about that as well. Anything high in salt is going to be problematic again, because it dehydrates you, and a hydrated body tends to be a healthier body. Again, this next group is really for me as someone with rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a group called nightshades. These are any of the peppers, white potatoes, eggplant, several seed spices. I know I'm forgetting one, but again, you could just Google nightshades and see how that is. So if that's something, again, that you're considering, just Google a list of nightshades, take them out for a week or so, and then see how your body reacts. That's the best way to do it. And then finally, the one that's probably the most important. Gluten is pretty close, but dairy would be probably number one, is dairy. So I can't, especially liquid dairy, I cannot do any sort of milk or cream or half and half or cottage cheese, that sort of thing. Ironically, I can have cheddar cheese if I do it like once in a great while, like maybe 6 times a year total. And it has to be kind of a small amount. But yeah, any sort of liquid dairy my body completely reacts to, and I will end up in what's called a flare the very next day for a couple of days. And it's not necessarily always a pro-inflammatory food. Some people have been able to consume more natural dairy, so like Kerrygold butter, raw dairy, camel's milk, what are some other ones? Anything that doesn't have any sort of added hormones or antibiotics, which is becoming a little bit more common. You still have to look for them. Again, you can Google what is dairy ingredients to avoid, and that would be something that could help you. So that's my list. It's kind of a long one, and it seemed like it encompasses everything, and you kind of probably at this point think you can eat beans and rice. Now, I didn't mention legumes only because if I again have those, it's called sprouting. It's basically where you soak them in water, they sprout a little bit, you take the sprouts off, and then you cook them. I don't have a problem with them. Now, some people do, and if that's you, again, any of these that I've mentioned, if you think that they're a problem for you, completely take them out for a week, add them back in, and see how you feel. That's honestly the best way to do it. And a lot of these items, including legumes, are on what's known as an autoimmune paleo diet, and a lot of people with chronic inflammation and pain follow this diet, with modifications based on what autoimmune conditions that they have. So that's my list. I hope it was helpful for you. Feel free down in the comments to tell me the ingredients that you've avoided or have added in that help you manage your chronic inflammation and chronic pain. Have a great day.